Everyone, I'm Michael. I'm going to be your presenter for this afternoon's session. It should be a slightly quicker session than normal, this one. It's a webinar that forms part of our Data Management 2025 webinar series that we've been running last month and this month. And we're looking specifically at the stock area, so clearing stock transactions, so similar to clearing your audit trail, but for stock records. And also we'll be looking at maybe deleting those records as well. So if you did attend the session last week, Abby took you through looking at deleting customers and suppliers, nominal, and also bank records. So we're looking specifically today at the products and services list. So we'll spend somewhere between 30 minutes and 45 minutes looking at that today. Now, just before we get stuck into the webinar, a little bit of housekeeping as normal. You don't need a microphone. If you've got one, if you enable it when you join, you'll find it's muted. You can't unmute yourself. Now, any questions, you'll need to pop them into the questions panel. It'll be myself and also Laura's on hand to help answer those questions. So do keep us busy, keep your questions coming, do engage with us. Pop anything you're not sure about, pop it in there. If anyone wants a copy of today's slides, those are available to download during the session. Also, there will be in your follow-up email, there will be a link on that to download the slides as well. So if you do forget during this specific session, then just watch out for that one. The follow-up email will be sent out, gets sent out automatically, so it's always around about an hour after we finish. It includes a link to the recording of today's session. So if you need a bit of a recap, you'll have that. The handout link will be on there. Also a link to our webinar registration page and also to our webinar recordings page as well. So if you want to sign up for other sessions or if you can't make it along, you want to watch the recordings, then keep those links handy. Now for Data Management 2025, these are the sessions that we've been running. So we're up to session number 6. Tomorrow we'll be looking at the inactive record session as well. And then also on Thursday, make sure I get my days right there, we'll be running the quiz to finish off. Then we'll be repeating the quiz next week as well. So just to sort of finish off the webinar series that we've been running. So those are the topics. So helping you to, as the title would suggest, manage that data, make sure it's kept sort of efficient as possible. So removing information and hiding information when you don't need that. If you haven't yet registered for them, again, the link to do so will be included on your follow-up email. Right, this is what we're covering in this afternoon session then. So, bit of an intro. Why would you clear stock transactions and delete records? Might sound obvious, that one, but we'll just run through it. We'll look at manually deleting records. So what options have you got? We'll look at clearing stock transactions. Give you an idea what that looks like. Now, if you did attend the clear audit trail option, it's similar in a number of respects. A little bit simpler though when it comes to stock transactions. We'll also be looking then at deleting stock records. And also a bit of a recap. Why can't I delete a record? So you might have cleared stock, or maybe you've forgot about that part and you've just gone straight to try and delete the record. You think, well, it won't let you do it. It should give you a message, but we'll just recap on that one. So why can't you delete a record? And then just right at the end, let's explain a little bit more about the additional support. And if there are any outstanding questions, if Laura hasn't been able to pick those up during the session, I'll join in with those towards the end as well. But do keep your questions coming. Don't just build them up or call them back to the end. Keep them coming. Right, okay, so let's get stuck in with a bit of an introduction then. So why would you clear stock transactions and maybe delete records? So as with most of the options where if you clear audit trail or delete customers, suppliers, for products and services, it's no different. It's an optional task. Now, the recommendation for product records, as it suggests there, is, and it is just a recommendation, is up to 20,000 records. Now, if you're wondering how many you've got, you can go to Help and About, and then you've got a record section. Actually, I'll just quickly show you that in my software. I'll just quickly share my screen. So I'm using version 32.1 today, so you see a little bit of color at the top if you haven't got Copilot activated. You'll start hearing more about 32.1 very, very soon, if you haven't already. But all you would do to find out how many records you've got, and it goes for other areas as well, you just pop into help at the top, then down to about. You should just take a few moments to load the screen. And in the middle column, if you just scroll down, you've got this records area. So it tells us customer records. I've got 30. It tells me how many are active as well. So if anyone's already used the inactive feature where you sort of hide old redundant records, obviously you can work out the difference. So we've got 30 records in total, but 25 customers, 25 of the records I've got set up, they're the ones that are flagged as being active, or maybe backwards aren't flagged as being inactive. So in amongst that, you've got your product records. So in my case, I've got 96, which is next to nothing. Considering you have, even the recommendation is up to 20,000, that's next to nothing. Obviously in this area in the middle as well, you've got other data information as well. So you've got things like splits, which is the number of transactions you've got. Now that's the transactions on your audit trail. It's not relating to your stock transactions. It's not, I don't think there's actually an option that tells you how many stock transactions you've got. And then obviously you've got list numbers of invoices, sales orders, purchase orders, depending on obviously the level of software that you're using as well. So that's where you can find out if you're wondering about that. So it's product records. I've got 96 in my example. So I was just helping about, middle column where it says records, you've got it listed there. Right, let's head back to the slides, continue with that intro. So why would you even think about clearing stock transactions? Well, there are benefits. One is obviously removing your older transactions and records that you no longer need. It just helps to ensure that your software runs efficiently. Obviously, the less information you have, the more efficient it's going to be. So things like just general processing, it may be quicker. Now, by how much, nobody knows. Nobody can really tell because every set of data is going to be pretty much different. You know, you could have 100 invoices on yours. Someone else could have 100 invoices, but actually the information that's included on them, the size of the description, the number of items, the values, etc., could be totally different. So you would never know, and it's a very common one. People will ask, well, if I do run this process, how much quicker would it be? You won't know until you've tried it. But processing should be quicker. Obviously, you're going to have less information. Just general use of the software. If you're scrolling up and down lists, if there's less to scroll through, should go without saying, it's going to be that bit easier for you. Reporting is going to be that much quicker as well. There's less information for the software to sort of filter out, to generate your report. Checking your data, it's going to take less time because there's less of it. Your backups will be that bit smaller as well. So there are a number of benefits, but again, the key there is it's optional. If you're nowhere near that 20,000 products and service records and you know your software is still performing really well speed-wise and things like that, then it might be something you just think, well, actually, I'm not bothered. I don't need to take any action on this. So it is that the key word there is it's optional. Right, let's move on a little bit. Now, we're going to start by looking at manually deleting records, and then we'll get stuck into the wizards that are going to guide you through that process. Now, there are three item types when it comes to products and services. There's a stock item, a non-stock item, and a service item. Now, the service item option, it's to be able to flag a product record as a service item. It's only available if you're on the professional level of the software. But the difference between a service item and a non-stock item is next to nothing other than the way that you flag it. got the same length description. It doesn't record any activity. So if you can't record movement in or out against a non-stock or a service item. Whereas a stock item, obviously the idea with that one is you want to record the stock level. So you want to track the movement in and out. So that's the main difference between them. We'll have a look at those in a moment. Now, the way that you would manually delete records, I'll run a quick demo of this in a moment, is just within products and services, you would select the relevant record or records, and then you've got a delete option at the top of the screen. Alternatively, you can go into the record itself, and then you've got a delete option on your toolbar within the record. And again, it means that you can delete that record as long as it meets specific criteria. So the criteria is generally listed there. This is a common message that you'll see. So one is, if it's a stock item, they might still have a stock level. Number two, the stock code still has transactions. So if it's a stock item, you've got the movement in and out recorded on the activity. You're not going to be able to remove that or delete that record if there's activity there. So it's a bit like when you're dealing with customers and suppliers, nominal bank. If there's activity on it, you can't delete the record. So that's when you clear the audit trail. And if it then meets the criteria, you can then delete the records. So it's similar for products. If there's activity, you're not going to be able to remove it. Reason three is that stock codes are possible subcomponents. So again, on the professional level of software, we'll come on to this in a bit more detail in just a moment. If it's a possible subcomponent or has a list of subcomponents, then again, it cannot be removed. So anything to do with a bill of materials needs to be removed first. If there's allocations, so if you use the sales orders area and you've got stock allocated. Similar if you use the purchase orders area. If there's purchase orders entered, you've got that stock code on an order that is placed on order, then again, it would prevent you from removing it. And it does mention there to clear stock transactions, you need to run the clear stock option via the period end menu. We'll come on to that in a few minutes. Now, there are a few tips that I can mention as well with regard to highlighting your records. So we'll pick up on those as we go through that process. I'll quickly share my screen. There we go. Right, we'll just cancel out of that window. Back to the main screen there. So into products and services. And as I mentioned, if I go into this first item, I'll just highlight it. And we got the delete option at the top. Now I could go down and highlight a number of records at the same time if I wanted to do it that way. So if I press delete, are you sure you wish to delete selected records? If I click yes, it's obviously met the criteria, so it removes it. So it's now gone from the list. Obviously, before doing that as well, similar to clearing audit trail, we'd always recommend that you take a backup. But it doesn't prompt you if you're doing it manually via this method. Now, if we choose a record that we can see there's a quantity in stock, so it shouldn't let us delete this one. If we highlight it though, click delete. Are you sure you want to delete the selected records? If I click yes to that, and that's when I get that information box pop up. So not all records selected could be deleted. Here's the possible reasons. So it's a case of me trying to find out, right, well, this one, why is that? Now in this case, if I just go into this record, I can see the item type at the top. It's flagged as a stock item. So is there activity? If I click onto the activity tab, I can see in this case, well, there's only one transaction, but yes, there is. Now, when that activity is there, I'm not going to be able to get rid of this record. So at some point, if I wanted to get rid of this record, I've got to wait till the quantity in stock is 0, or maybe I do a manual adjustment for that one to make it 0. And then I could clear stock, and as long as the transactions on that activity meet that criteria for being cleared, then it would then be in a position where I've got no activity, and as long as it meets the other criteria, I should be able to delete it. Now, you do have an option as well. So here we've got an option which is non-stock. So non-stock, if I go into it, tells me at the top, again, item type, non-stock. So there shouldn't be any activity because there's no activity gets recorded for a non-stock item. And similarly, if I go into this one which I've called service record, if I open that one, and it tells me it's a service item, remember that service item flag? It's only available if you're on the professional level of the software. If you've got services and you want to send them as records on other versions, you would just flag them as a non-stock item. So again, with this one, doesn't record any activity. So it means, generally speaking, you should probably be able to delete it. So again, we could highlight as many records as you want on that list, click delete at the top. Or the other way that I did mention was to go into the record itself. So we're just back in that non-stock item, and you've got that delete option at the top. So we're doing it essentially one at a time. So I click that, just ask me, are you sure? So yes to that prompt. And as I don't get any message, it means that that record that we've just tried to delete, it's gone. It has been removed, which it has. So nice and easy to delete records as long as they're in the right position. Now, even if I highlight, say, these two items, and I wanted to mention about selecting records as well. So you can see I've highlighted a couple there. You've got a number of options when it comes to highlighting records. Now, if I just click clear, it removes all highlights. If I use the swap option, potentially I could just highlight everything and then click delete, and it'll leave anything that doesn't meet that criteria. I could highlight everything and think, well, actually, I don't want it to clear that, and that, so remove any highlights. If you're struggling to sort of randomly select them or select more than one record, it'll be down to what we term your list selection style. So here I've got 5. Now, this is what we would term the Sage selection style, meaning when I click onto a record, it highlights it. If I click it again, it removes the highlight. It's like an on-off switch, so I can just randomly click on records, it'll highlight them. If I click on this one again, it'll remove the highlight. But if you find when you click, the highlight follows you around, so you're not able to choose multiple records, then what you can do is just pop into Tools at the top, into Options, and it'll bring up this window. And on the Environment tab, you've got the list selection style here. So I'm on the Sage style at the moment. If I change it to the Windows style, just OK that. And that's computer specific, that setting as well. So, you know, if you want it to work one way and your colleague doesn't like it working that way, then it doesn't matter, as long as you're on different PCs. If we pop back to products and services now, if I highlight a record, and then let's come down and highlight this whiteboard account, you'll find that the highlight follows me around. So if I just randomly click, it's not leaving the highlights on the original record. That's just following me around. Now, if you like that, you can either switch across to the Sage selection style, or you can select records in a number of different ways. Now, if you just want to highlight random records, all you do is you hold down your Control key, and when you click, it highlights it. If I've still got that Control key held down, I click it again, it'll remove the highlight. So you make your selection, and then you can perform whatever action it is you're after, whether it's then going into a report or whatever it is you're trying to do, including deleting records. The other way with the Windows selection style as well is that you can highlight a record, and let's say I go all the way down to, if anyone's as old as me, you'll remember this, diskettes. You used to buy them formatted and unformatted, so they're still there on this demonstration data. So let's say I want to highlight from that component 1 all the way down to where I've got diskettes listed. I can hold down the Shift key this time, click, and it'll highlight everything in that range. But if I release all the keys on the keyboard and then just click onto this let's say a flip chart, you'll see that the highlight removes again and it just follows me around. So something to be aware of. For selecting records as well, you might also think about, well, actually I could apply a filter. So you could go into filter and do something like where quantity in stock is equal to 0. So nice and easy to build filters. Laura guided you through that, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. We went through that one. So quite an interesting, and it just adds that bit more flexibility to your reports when you understand filters. So I could set that one up. So where quantity in stock is equal to 0, click apply. And what I'm left with, if you look down here, this column, is I'm just left with the records that have nothing in stock. I could reverse that filter as well, and I could do where quantity in stock is not equal to 0, or I might go is greater than 0. Click apply, and again, you can see in the background, I've got that list of records. So if I thought, right, I just think, right, well, any of my records that have a 0 quantity in stock, I might think, right, actually I want to delete them. So I would just say filter where quantity in stock is equal to 0. Apply that. And then what I'm left with all the ones with no quantity in stock. And then we would just click swap, highlight them all, and then maybe I could delete that way. Just need to be careful in case there's any sort of maybe regular products that you use, but just so happens at this point in time, the quantity in stock is 0. So you wouldn't want to include those. So again, you might remove them from the list at that point. We're just going to get rid of that selection style that I mentioned. I'm just going to switch back to the Sage one so I don't catch myself out. So again, it was just tools, environment, and then switch to the Sage selection style. Just okay that. And I'm back to the sort of what I term the on-off type of highlighting records. I would just click on and off. So if you are doing it manually, it's easy enough to do it as long as the records in question meet that criteria. Right, okay. Let's head back to the slides for a moment. So next we're going to look at the wizard option that you've got. So this is a bit like Clear Audit Trail. And it's the option to clear stock transactions. Now, when you access this wizard, you've actually got 2 tabs down the side. We're going to go through each of them in turn. But obviously, if you've got records that you can't delete, you're going to need to probably clear your stock transactions. Now, the difference with this one compared to Clear Audit Trail is if you clear the audit trail, it just does it across the board. You would enter a date and it would look at all your invoices and payments and receipts and journals, and anything that meets the criteria, it would be removed. You can't be specific. So you can't clear your audit trail, for instance, for a single customer or a single supplier. It doesn't let you do that. But it does in the stock area. So in a moment, in the demo, what we're going to do is we're going to go into Tools, Period End, Clear Stock. We can then choose to select all records, or we can go down the route and then select the ones we're after. It'll prompt us to enter a date, and then we can choose to clear stock. Now you will be prompted when you go through the wizard to take a backup. And something to bear in mind is if you use the retrospective product valuation report, so it's the product valuation report where you can enter a historic date to look back at a point in time, then we would discourage you from actually using the clear stock option unless you're using it to remove a product record completely. I would never recommend that you use it to only part clear the history from a record if you use that report, just because it can interfere with the way that it calculates. Maybe that one's for another day to talk about that one. I think we might even have an old webinar recording on the product valuation reports. Not sure it's on the recordings list or not. But anyway, we'll quickly run through and we'll show you what the process looks like. Let me share my screen again and we'll get stuck in. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, first of all, I'll just pick on this record here. It's saying I've got a quantity of 1 in stock. So ordinarily this, if I just have a look at the activity, I've just got that 1 transaction, but it's dated 22nd of the 1st, 2025. But it's still in stock. Now, if it's an old product and I think I just want to get rid of that, and Sophia, you had a question on that one just a few minutes back. How do you process manual adjustments to remove a stock item incorrectly used? So if this one was booked in error, or maybe it's an old item, actually I don't have that quantity in stock anymore, you can do one of 2 things. One is to and use the stock take option just to essentially zero it out. Or the other one is just to post an adjustment out against this one. So let's do a manual adjustment out. I'm going to backdate this one a little bit. So let's do it to the end of middle of Feb somewhere. And I'll say, right, I want to adjust out a quantity of 1. So what I should be left with is then nothing in stock. I'll just save that. So it's now saying quantity in stock 0. But can I delete the record manually at this point? No. I've got nothing in stock, but I've still got transactions on there. So this is where I need to clear stock transactions. Now, I don't just want to do it across the board. Might be 1, it might be a range. But I'll just concentrate on this 1 for now. So if I go to tools and then period end, and then we've got the option clear stock, and we've also got delete stock there. Either option will take you into essentially the same screen, giving you the 2 options down the side there. So we're going to clear stock transactions. Now it's telling me, do I want to do it on all 94 records? That's selected by default. Or do I want to clear transactions on selected records? Now, if I click that, it's going to prompt me then to make a selection. So I'm just going to highlight that 1. I purposely did the 1 at the top of the list so I could easily find it. Obviously, otherwise, I could go down and I can obviously select the ones I'm after. Now, when you click search is this, don't know why it hasn't been renamed, but the filter option used to be called search years ago. It's been called filter for many, many years now, but this is one of the few screens that, for whatever reason, was never updated. So if you've got, maybe it might be a certain product range, for instance. But we've got all our products there. So again, even in here, you might think, well, actually, I'll just apply a search and I'll just try and do it for those that have got nothing in stock. But in this case, I'm just going to do that top one. So we'll OK that. I've made my selection. So again, that's something that you can't do with Clear Audit Trail. You can't choose specific customers or suppliers, nominal or bank records. Pop in your date. Again, slightly different to the Clear Audit Trail option. The Clear Audit Trail option, when you're removing all transactions, you can't enter a date within your current financial year. It's got to be prior to the start of your current financial year. But with Clear Stock, you can. So I've just set that back a little bit, and let's say we'll clear up to the end of June. I'm going to clear stock. Now at this point, we're prompted to take a backup. Just let me continue if I don't take that backup. So I'm just going to call it pre-clear stock transactions. And I'll just save it to the desktop, just backing up my data files only in this instance. So we'll OK that, runs through, takes that backup, tells me it's been successful, and then it's telling me, in this case, clear stock to 30th of June 2025 is finished. It's so quick because I've just got that, well, I would have had 2 transactions on it for that 1 record. So it's next to nothing for it to go through, but generally it's quite a quick process for that to run through. So you might get a progress bar, particularly if you've got thousands and thousands of records, thousands of transactions, and also maybe if you're running across a network. But mine, it's local data, it's a tiny set of data I'm using today, so it's instantaneous. If you get a progress bar, just watch it, let it run. When it's finished, you get this message, just okay that, and that's it done. That's the stock cleared. Now I could, at this point, I could go straight on to deleting stock records at this point. I'm not going to, I'm just going to close out for the time being. We'll go back to products and services. We'll go into this record that we just looked at. And we'll go into the activity, and you can see there's nothing there now. It's removed them. So again, if you attended the Clear Audit Trail session, you remember about, we talked about allocated transactions and things like that, having to meet all that criteria. For this, there's a lot less criteria. Now, Janet, you're just asking there, are stock transactions not cleared when you clear your audit trail? No, they're different. So if you think of your audit trail as being when we're going to transactions here, so this is your list of transactions, that's your audit trail. It used to actually be called audit trail back in the day. So it's a list of transactions in your nominal code, so your bank payments, your bank receipts, so your accounting transactions. What we're looking at today is the stock transactions, which is essentially a separate set of transactions. They don't, your stock transactions, so if you do an adjustment in and adjustment out, things like that, they don't appear on the list of transactions here. They're separate. So you clear your audit trail, it's this list that gets rid of. What we're looking at is in products and services, it's the activity against the actual records themselves. So the movement in and out recorded against your stock records. Right, so that's how easy it is to clear your stock transactions. Now, obviously the next step would then be, if you want to, again, it's something that's optional. Just go back to the slides. It would be actually deleting the records themselves. Now, I would be in a position now where that one record that I had highlighted, I could run through that and just highlight it manually, delete it if I want to. But I want to show you what it looks like when we run through the wizard. So the wizard will basically offer you the option to scan your records, and it will come back and say, right, these are the ones that potentially you could get rid of. So I just want to show you what that looks like. So we'll head back to my screen, just basically run through that process. Right, okay, let's do that. So back into tools, period end, and then down to clear stock or delete stock. Now, even if I choose clear stock, again, it launches that wizard, and I just choose the delete stock records option on the side here. So you can toggle between the two options. So it tells me this option will permanently remove stock records from your product list. A little bit of the criteria there. Stock records can only be removed if they, one, have no transactions in the activity or not part of a bill of materials, and have an on order and allocated quantity of 0. The only thing I can do at this point is I click Start Scan. Prompts me to back up. I'll just call it pre-Dell stock records. And again, I'll save it to the desktop. So just OK that. Tells me the backup has been successful, so we'll just OK that. It completes the scan. And in this case, it's telling me, right, these are the ones that you can now get rid of. These are the ones that meet the criteria. So I don't have to go, when I manually select it and then I get the error saying, well, you've got quantity in stock or you've got activity on there. This does the scan and it says, right, these are the ones currently that you're in a position to get rid of. Now, I could click swap and clear at the bottom if I wanted to. So if I just think I want to get rid of all of them, and bear in mind you might have a great big list. If you click swap, it just highlights everything. If I click clear, it removes the highlight. You might click swap and think, right, I want to get rid of everything, but actually what I don't want to do is I don't want to get rid of that one, so I'll take the highlight off. Now you might be sat there thinking, well, why didn't you just highlight stock item B? Let's say you've got 100 items. Rather than me go through and do 100 clicks, I can just click swap, it'll highlight everything, and then I could click on the one item to remove the highlight from it. In this case though, I am just going to click the swap to highlight both of them. I'll OK that. Prompts me, we're about to permanently delete, in this case, 2 product records. Are you sure you want to continue? So yes to that. And then tells me 2 records successfully deleted. We just OK that as well. And that's it. That's how easy it is to delete your records. Oh, nice simple one, that one. So to access the area, it was tools, period end, and then you've got the clear stock, delete stock. So clear stock is for your transactions. Delete stock is for the records themselves. Right, now I'm going to pop back to the slides, because again, you might be in a position where you do get that message. So that information box that popped up earlier. So why can't you delete a record? So again, coming back to that, item still in stock. If it's a stock item, it's got to have a quantity in stock of 0. If it's a stock item, it might still have transactions. So that's where the clear stock area comes in. But that's only for stock items. Remember, non-stock and service items, they don't record any activity against them. They're just there almost as like to use as a price list almost. So you can pull them through onto your invoices and it'll pull through a description and a unit price and things like that. It doesn't record any stock levels against those, so they're easy to remove. So that stock code still have transactions, it only applies to stock items. Now, if you're on Essentials or the standard level of Sage 50 accounts, they're the only 2 that matter. They're the only 2 that are applicable to you. If you're on the professional level, options 3, 4, and 5 may be applicable as well. So the stock codes are possible subcomponents. So is it linked to a bill of materials of another product? If it is, you need to remove it from that. Now, there is a reverse product explosion report that you can run, which would try and help you identify what it's linked to. Stock codes have allocations. To find that, you would just go into the record and there's an allocated box. You just click it and it would say, right, well, here's a list of the sales orders that this product record is allocated to. Then if needed, you can go and take it off order or delete the order if it's an older one. And then that would remove that. And similar for stock codes or on order. Again, within the record, you've got the on order box. Let me just quickly show you a few of those. Go back to my screen, products and services. And hopefully I've got this one. So this is the allocated item. It's telling me. So it wouldn't let me get rid of this one. So if I have a look at the activity, there's nothing in stock or no transactions. I can see the quantity in stock at the bottom here is 0. So it meets that first two parts of the criteria there. But if I go back to the details, I can see there's nothing on order, but there is an allocated value. So I click on that plus sign, it would give me a list of the sales orders that this product is allocated against. So I can look, right, it's number 31. I can go into my sales orders list and do something about that one. Similarly, I have a purchase order item. So again, a similar box, but it's on order this time. And again, you can just click on the little plus sign. It will give you a list of the purchase order or orders that that product is linked to, where the order has a status of being on order. So again, you can do something about that one. So nice and easy to track it down if needed. Normally, what we tend to find from support calls is that the reason you'll not be able to delete a record is because there are transactions against it. I think the quantity in stock, it's quite obvious, that one to most, that it'll not let you get rid of it if it's saying, right, you've got a stock of this item. But it's that second one, stock code still has transactions, that's the one that catches people out. So that's the one to watch. So quite a simple topic, that one. At least I hope it is. If you want to find out more, there is a bit more information available within the Help Center. Now, if you maybe in a position where either you can't delete a record or maybe you just don't want to. So there is an alternative to actually deleting records, and it's flagging your records as being inactive. That's something I am going to run through. I think it's tomorrow, that session, where we're looking at inactive records. So if you are interested, please get yourself signed up. We will be looking at that in a bit more detail. It's a really simple feature, that one as well. So if there's customers, suppliers, nominal, bank records, products and services that you just think, well, I don't want to delete them just in case, or maybe you're not in a position where you can delete them, then you could just flag them as being inactive. So they sit there in the background, but they're hidden. Sometimes it's a bit more reassuring for people to do that rather than thinking, oh, well, I'm not sure. Should I remove them or not? I'm not sure. If you're unsure, just flag them as being inactive. Right, okay, does bring me to the end of the demonstration. I've got one question outstanding from Christine there. I'll pick that up in a minute, Christine, just to outline a bit more detail. If anyone else has any other questions that you want to quickly submit, pop them in there now. I'll try my best to pick them up in just a moment. Obviously, we've got Laura on hand as well. If you want a copy of today's handout, the slides that we've used today, those are available to download now. Just again, should be an option for that one. It looks like a little bit of paper with a corner folded over on your toolbar down the right. Just give it a click and then you'll have the two options. There's a standard color version of the slides, but there's also the print-friendly version as well if you prefer to print things out and pop on your notes, etc. Might just save you an ink cartridge or a toner cartridge here and there. So take your pick. As normal, the webinar has been recorded. A link to it will be included on your follow-up email. You'll get that around about an hour. It's got the various links on as well to register for other webinars and also to access the recordings. If you don't want to wait for that, you can access the webinar pages for both Sage 50 accounts and Sage 50 payroll by heading along to sage.co.uk/webinars. So if you aren't yet registered for inactive records or the quiz for the data management badge, do get yourself registered. That's where to head. Right, come back to the questions in just a moment, but let me quickly thank you for attending. Hope you've enjoyed it, found it useful. Hopefully, if you can retain what we've covered today, it'll answer some of those questions that'll be in the quiz on Thursday. So if you are attending that, I hope to see you then as well. If you can take a minute to complete the survey, that should pop up as you leave. That would be greatly appreciated. We love reading those comments, etc. Just see if we're hitting the mark or not. Share any thoughts, ideas for topics you'd like to see covered going forward, or just in general, how you think we could improve the webinars. Let us know. So if you can do that, as I say, that's really useful to us. Your follow-up email will be with you in round about an hour. So I want to come back to Christine's question. Christine was just asking about the stock adjustment option. So removing the 1 unit, making it 0 stock level, and does it make the appropriate nominal value adjustment? No, there is no nominal value adjustment whatsoever. So try and give you an example. Share my screen. See if I can answer this one. So if we sort of adjust some stock in, so let's go to our nominal codes first. And we've got a stock value here of, well, it's 35,000. That's in amongst my current assets. And if I scroll a bit further down in my sort of 5,000 range, you'll have opening stock, closing stock values there as well. Now, if we adjust stock, and it doesn't matter what we do, it is not going to adjust the nominal ledger at all. There is no impact on that. So if you just do it manually, so do an adjustment in of this stock item C, and we'll do, let's say 10 items at, let's put a random figure in. So a cost price of 123.45, save it. In the background, we've now got quantity in stock of 10. Now, all that transaction, specifically that option, the adjustment in or adjustment out, all that's done, it has recorded that transaction on the activity of that product record. So we're going to into the record itself. You'll see on the activity, we've got an AI transaction. If we pop into the transactions list, you can see that the last transaction on my list there is transaction 1237. It's an SI against a totally different account. So that stock transaction that I've just recorded has no bearing on my nominal ledger at all. So if I do an adjustment out, it'll have no bearing on that. And it's these transactions, your audit trail transactions, that's what feeds into the nominal ledger. If you're writing off stock, so just to get back on track a little bit, if you're writing off stock, that's when what you should be doing is posting opening and closing stock journals. Now there is a webinar on that one. If you're in any doubt, give it a watch. And then if you've got any questions, get in touch with our support team. I'll just make sure that it is available to you. So we'll just pop to the webinar page. So remember, it's sage.co.uk/webinars. We're going to go access the recordings. Let me just see if it's there. So can I find it? So it's going to either be in the, in this case, it should be in the products. It's either going to be nominal. Do we have a journals option? No, we don't have a journals option. So is it in products? So in here, nominal codes, sorry. Journals, opening and closing stock. So have a watch through that one, Christine, and hopefully it'll explain it in a bit more detail. And it will also, if needed, it would guide you through and show you the options for posting, closing and opening and closing stock journals. So that's what would essentially, if anything, adjust your nominal balance in relation to your stock value. So watch that. If any questions on it, just reply to your webinar email. That'll get back in touch with us. So if you want to discuss that in detail, get in touch with our support team. But any of your webinar emails, you can click reply and it'll come to a member of our team. Hope that makes sense. Right, that was the only question we did have that was outstanding. So again, if you think of anything, you know where we are. Once again, if you can take that minute to complete the survey, greatly appreciated. Otherwise, hopefully, I'll see you on some other webinars very, very soon. Many thanks.